Hi, my name is Megan Harrington. It's an honor to welcome the director of Knocking Down the Fences, Meg Shutzer. Hi, Meg. We're excited to have you with us and look forward to talking more about Knocking Down the Fences. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, Megan, and thank you, Windrider, as well. It's great to be here.
So, Meg, you have a Harvard undergrad. You have a master's at Stanford, grad school at Berkeley. You're a consultant strategist traveling the world. How did you end up transitioning to a full-time filmmaker? What was the catalyst that kind of launched you into that world, leaving behind your strategy consulting job?
I'm a soccer player, and so whenever I traveled for a project, I tried to find a place where I could play soccer. And I was doing a project in Tanzania, specifically in Zanzibar, and I found that soccer is hugely popular there. But it was almost all men, and it took months before I actually found, at the time, Zanzibar's only women's soccer team. And I found myself telling everyone about these women. They were just so incredible. They were pushing against the boundaries of what it means to be a woman in that culture. And they kind of shared an interest in telling their story because they wanted other girls in Zanzibar to know that you can be a woman and a Muslim and a soccer player. That was really important to them. And so that was the impetus for making my first documentary. It was about that team. And I really wanted to keep telling these kinds of stories, keep making films. At some point, I just decided I was gonna take that jump, and I quit my job and I actually went and met a friend in Louisiana and started shooting this project about A.J. Andrews.
How did you end up with the film Knocking Down the Fences?
So after I made New Generation Queens, the film about this women's soccer team, I was in a film festival in San Francisco called the Women's Sports Film Festival. I remember watching the trailer for the festival, and it showed sort of small clips of lots of films, and just feeling this, I don't even know how to describe it, this feeling of like, wow, I didn't know how much I was missing these stories. I didn't even know I needed these stories to see this kind of representation. The directors of the festival actually met AJ, heard about her story, and knew that I wasn't working on any projects at the time. They reached out to me to see if I was interested. And the more I learned about AJ, I was just shocked that I had never heard of her. I wanted to kind of step into the space that the mainstream media wasn't covering, which are these stories about incredible women, and especially incredible Black women who are doing great things in their fields and not getting the attention for it that they really deserve.
You touched on this, but could you expand a little bit on that idea of women seeing their own stories?
I had learned how good it can feel to see yourself represented on the screen, and sort of over time come to appreciate that. And I know that that had made a real difference for AJ as well, as she was growing up and playing softball and looking for role models in her sport. And so I think we both really understood the power and importance of representation.
Sports has this ability to translate into life. So whether or not you're a sports fan or not, you can appreciate a story like AJ's. Why do you think it's important that people watch this film?
There's this myth in America that if you work really hard, that you're gonna get what it is you're working for. And I think that there's no doubt that AJ works really hard, but her reality is that her gender, her race, her sport mean that she's not getting paid very well. She's barely able to hold things together with multiple jobs, even though she is the best fielder in her sport. I mean, it's crazy. And so I think that this film is important beyond softball because it kind of points out the nuance of those myths that we have about hard work in our country, and helps us to see all the complexities that play into everyone's story.
That's so true. And I felt that watching your film. It's about so much more than sports, which is often how and why sports films are so powerful. How would you have approached AJ's differently, sitting where you are now?
Yeah, that is a great question. And I'm increasingly wondering, am I the right person to tell stories like the one about AJ? And what would it have been like if a Black filmmaker had made this film? And I think, to me, that's a really important question to be asking, not hopefully not in a way that's paralyzing, but in a way that that generates much more thoughtfulness and discussion and equity in this filmmaking world.
What is some practical advice you could give filmmakers who are looking to break into the industry?
Just start doing it. I think the barriers to making films are lower than ever. Many of us have access to phones with cameras. The most important thing is the story, and we can all find great stories if we listen and ask good questions. And so that would be my advice, is just start practicing and see how it goes. Get feedback from your friends, hone your craft, even if your craft is always, for the next year or two on a phone. That's not really what matters. What matters is that you can tell a great story.
Well, we look forward to following you in your career. Thank you for knocking down the fences. Thank you for this beautiful film and for being on the W.
Awesome, thank you so much. It's great to be here. Thank you to Windrider for having me, and thank you, Megan, for these great questions. And everyone who's watching, I really appreciate you all being so engaged and learning about film and about AJ.